¿Qué onda, mi gente? Today is Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. Y aquí con ustedes, la comadre B with another episode of Comadreando aquí y con café. I am actually doing, a retake of yesterday's 7-minute segment that I did on the radio. I deleted it like a mensa. I don't know. I was trying to make more room in the camera last night to record myself and Patrick doing our thing in the radio studio, and I deleted my whole segment. So I am here to redo it for you guys because it was such a freaking good one. All right, guys. So as you see the title, it is The Beauty Who Created the Beast, right? Milicent Patrick. All right, guys. So let's go back and again recap from last night. Patrick wanted to talk about the creature of the Black Lagoon because he loves Gilman, right? Gilman is his go-to creature. All right, guys. So this specific episode, this segment, this article, this conversation que voy a charlar con ustedes, it's about the woman who created this creature. Okay. Um, she was the pioneer behind special effects and makeup back in the 50s. This was the first time ever a woman was behind these kind of designs, right? She was the beauty who created the beast. This woman was also told not to talk about her situation, her role behind the whole creation of this creature. She was also fired. And to top it off, guys, she was never properly given her screen credits for any of the work she did for this project. All right, I'm going to read off my book because ya saben, la comadre no se acuerda ya mucho. So who was this woman? Her real government birth name was Mildred Rossi, Rossi. She was professionally known later down her life as Milicent Patrick. So keep that name at the top of your head so you can Google her later, images and stuff, because estaba bien bonita la pinche vieja. Okay. She was the creator, like I said, of the Black Lagoon. She was in charge of the full design of Gilman. So, ooh. A little bit of her background story. She was born in El Paso, Texas on November 11th, 1915. She moved here to California up in the Bay Area. She got there when she was the age of 6. Then her father, they moved to the San Simon area. Her father was an actual superintendent for the construction crew that was building Hearst Castle. Okay, this Hearst Castle took a good minute to build, this and this, this and that. While they lived in that area and worked this whole castle, el papá de Mildred, pasaron los años. So Mildred really, really loved the wife of Mr. Hearst. So yeah, her name was actually Milicent. So since Mildred loved her so much, they grew real close. Like I said, they were doing this whole project for a good minute. She became very fond of her. They had a good friendship, blah, blah, blah. A little bit later, issues happened at the workplace. So Mildred's dad was forced to relieve himself from the project, from being, the foreman there, the construction superintendent. And they ended up moving out here to Glendale. By this time, Mildred was almost 18 years old. She ended up enrolling in Glendale Junior College. And although she didn't graduate from the college, she was the assistant art editor for the school yearbook department. So it was like high honor to do that. She did a lot of work. She was a very good artist, sketched by hand. She was very known for her skill. She ended up transferring out and went to Connier Art Institute, where she spent 3 years of her life there as well. And she ended up getting three full scholarships because of her talent. Again, telling you guys, this lady, this girl knew how to sketch. She was a wonderful artist. So she put all that to work and went to work for Disney in 1939. She became an animator there. She was the same thing, drawing, sketching, blah, blah, blah. Some of her best work, guys, you will find in the movie Fantasia. There's a scene where there's like this gargoyle looking beast up on a hill en la noche. That was all her. And then the movie Dumbo, guys. She was the one that sketched up all the animals for that movie. So yeah, she was super, super talented. I'm telling you guys. Um, Disney went into a big strike because their animators were demanding increased pay, better working conditions, and they wanted on screen credit for all their work. Again, back in those days in the 50s, for some reason, these these movie producers or whoever throws these projects together didn't think it was such a big deal to actually list who did what and give them credit on screen. Um, that strike ended up finishing on September 21st, 1941. Pero by then, Mildred had already quietly left on her own. She didn't work well under all this stress and pressure, so she was constantly having migraines due to all the issues going on with the strike. So she just quit on her own y se fue. After that, she became a model. So she was doing model work from 1941 until 1947. And it went well for her. She really enjoyed it. She was out there, yada, yada, yada. And then after that, she decided to become an actress. This woman had such a full life, guys. Like, she was in everything. Um, Again, she was in a lot of films that never gave her screen credit. The only one thing she did get a lot of credit for was being an extra on, I believe it was a show called Texas, Brooklyn, and Heaven, which was in 1948. I might be wrong, it might be a movie, but I understood like it was a show. Anyways, this was one of her first on screen credits for her name, and now she was professionally known as Milicent Patrick. She took Patrick from an ex husband because at this point she was a grown woman. She had already had a divorce. So she decided to keep that last name, and then she had adopted Millicent's name, which was the wife of Hearst Castle, and that's what she was professionally known as. Well, she would appear on a lot of movie sets. She was here and there, had a bunch of little parts, blah, blah, blah. And she would like to sketch her co-stars. So there she was always with the sketchbook, and she would like sketch so like spot on. She was good. She caught the attention of the head director of makeup and special effects over at Universal's Pictures. His name was Bud Westmore. Well, Westmore seen all these sketches, and he started asking her questions, and hey girl, what's up, and you did these are good, blah blah blah, do you know who I am? And she's just like, no. a creep. I don't know. So he's like, "Oh, I am Bud Westmore, and I'm from the Westmore family." The family was very known for that specific department, makeup, and for the stars and the movies and this and that. So he invited her to come on board to Universal's Pictures to help them out. Once he found out, that she had been an actress, a model, this and that, and all the sketches and stuff. So he was really interested in her because she was Jane of all trades, right? Um, he brought her on, and her first assignment, guys, was to do the whole makeup for a movie called Against All Flags, which was filmed in 1952. Now, she had to do the makeup for the pirates that come out in the scene. And from my understanding, the pirates estaban feos. They were gory. The makeup was like spot on to make it look the part exactly what they were looking for, right? Um, she was an instant success because there was a bunch of people that she did this makeup for. Like I said, it was exactly what Bud was looking for. So yeah, he favored her right away. He was like, good thing you're aboard, good thing I brought you aboard right away, taking credit because he brought her on board. He ended up giving her 3 more big pictures to do all the special effects and makeup. One was It Came from Outer Space in 1953. She also was the mastermind behind Meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, also 1953. And then the last one before the Big Bang was Signs of the Pagan in 1954. Well, she did all these perfect, they were excellent. Makeup was spot on. The special effects were spot on. Um, in late 1953, Bud Westmore got a call from a producer, William Allen, with a D at the end, and he proposed for a motion picture to be picked up. So le dijo, hey, vale. No, just kidding. Said, hey, check it out. I want to start working on this film. It is based on the half fish, half man creature that comes from deep in the Amazon River. So right away, Bud Westmore, of course, didn't turn this idea down. He's all, yes, of course, I got you. You're good right here, Universal Studios, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so at first, Bud approached another person to do the whole makeup and the special effects for this project, right? As he was halfway done talking to this guy, he says, you know what? Never mind. He went and looked for Milicent and told her, hey, there's this movie that's coming up. There's an idea, the plot. They just gave it to me. I'm super interested. It would be so good for us. And what do you think? Blah, blah, blah. So she's like, well, what is it? So he says, it's a half fish, half man creature. It comes from the Amazon, but there is specifics that this creature has to have. And that is why I come to you, because you know how to create these looks and make them look so authentic. So dice Millicent, dice que, what do you need these creatures to have? This creature, what is it? So he said, the specifics have to be as followed. They have to appear fearsome, so ugly, scary, super unearthly, so out of this world. And it has to be able to swim very, very well. And it has to have pulsating gills. So Millicent stood in awe. And she said, okay, yeah, I can definitely do this. You came to the right place. Right away, she began all her research, right? She's like, okay, let me check this out. She looked into all the prehistoric reptiles, amphibians, and all these fish, the whole fish chain. Um, she ended up looking all the geology behind the aquatic life. So this lady really, really dove right deep into these books because back then there wasn't no Google search or anything like that. The film soon started production, um, late 1953, like I said. The original name of this movie was The Monster. Later on, down the line, once they were wrapping it up, they decided to change the name to The Creature of the Black Lagoon. All right, guys. So everything was going well, right? This release was soon to be. This monster was like new to the whole Universal Studio line of monsters. You figure they had used a few monsters a couple decades before, which were like Frankenstein, the Bride of Frankenstein, Invisible Man, the Mummy, Dracula, that kind of stuff. So there had been a good period before they became known again for releasing another scary movie. Well, Millicent went on a promotional tour, right, which was called The Beauty Who Created the Beast. They took her around everywhere, and she was traveling with the costume, and doing these appearances because they were trying to push this movie, they were trying to sell it, they were trying to blow it up, right? Well, people started putting two and two together, and they're just like, why would this lady be really traveling with this big old creature, like babysitting it, blah, blah, blah. Like, she's probably the one who created all this, this this big fish guy, this Gilman, right? Well, word got back to Bud Westmore, and he got all bothered, right? Because how was he gonna put his name on the line that he, the great Bud Westmore, was not the man who created this creature? He was not the man behind the special effects, behind this makeup, pero era una mujer. So he got in touch with Millicent y le dijo, hey, no digas nada. Do not speak on this. If they ask you if you're the one that created it or you had anything to do with it, you better hush and say nothing. What you're going to say is that I did. You're just babysitting this Gil man. You are touring with it, and that is it. She said, okay. Although she was obviously heartbroken, this was like the creations of all time, and she couldn't even take the credit or brag or show off that this is what she did. All right, the tour continued for a couple weeks more. When she got back home here to Hollywood, Bud Westmore fired her. She never said a thing, but because people estaban hablando and everybody had this idea that she was the one behind this creation, word got back to him, and again, he couldn't have his prestige last name in the mix and then discredit him for not being the man, the family, the Westmores. He fired her. Um, After this happened, the release of the movie came out. Sadly, you will not find her name anywhere in any of the credits of The Creature of the Black Lagoon. Again, guys, it was so sad. It was so heartbreaking. It was horrible. Think about it. Like, she made this guy, she made this film. Look at here we are, guys, almost 70 years later, and who doesn't know The Creature of the Black Lagoon, right? Que gachos, que gachos. That time, everything was just so shitty about everything, right? Like, you're a woman, be quiet. Um, Your role wasn't that big. Be quiet. You're not gonna get credit. Like you don't matter. It was ugly. After that, she never worked behind the scenes with anything anymore. It completely crushed her. Um, she did continue to work in the industry, obviously. In the 80s, um, she developed Parkinson's disease. And sadly, after that, she passed away from breast cancer. She did live a full and beautiful life. Like I said, she had her hands in everything, as you guys can see. She was an animator, an actress, a model, created Gilman. Like, what else can you possibly want to fulfill in your lifetime, right? In 2015 or so, about 10 years ago, salió un libro based on only Milicent, and it was called The Lady of the Black Lagoon. Now, this was written by a big fan, another woman, and she talks in full detail of Milicent's life, the creations, the real struggles, like I said, in detail, right? Because she studied her and the story and her projects like to the T right there. So if you guys are interested in it, I haven't read it. I just found out about this book. I would tell you guys, I would suggest you maybe look it up on eBay where they sell all them used books at very good prices. Save a trip. Save a tree. And get your read on, guys. You know, I can never stress how beautiful it is to find out all this information of things you had no idea were once a thing. Hmm? Um, that is what I have for you today. Look, it's a 23-minute video, which I try to like shrink down to my 7-minute segment on the radio last night. But I guess things happen for a reason. So, like I said, here I am retaking, because I just felt like that story was so fascinating. We had to share it. And then it's a scary movie, guys. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you check it out. I believe it's on Amazon. That's where I seen it earlier this week to refresh. I was told yesterday that there's a trilogy with this title, this topic here. I haven't seen the next two videos, but I will definitely check them out because Patrick loves it and I trust him because we're nerds together. So I need to check these other stories out and see what happened, what it's really about. So I would say do the same. Who doesn't love an old Universal Studios film, right? Yes, guys. Yes, yes, yes. That's where it's at. All right. Today was Tuesday. I will try to do another live tomorrow. Like I said, I really like these a lot because I don't have to sit here and waste too much time editing this and that. The mic, everything picks up just fine. The picture, it's all right. Estoy fea, pero it's all right. So yes, guys, I do have a couple other videos. Man, like my flashcard, for some reason, deleted so many of my clips I had on there, my small videos. San Francisco, the other fashion show, Blanca's birthday. I do have some backup on the cloud, so I'm going to work with what I have and I will upload those for you guys because I know you love to see what La Comadre does. Y pues ya, guys, con eso los dejo. I will be uploading the couple that I did last week on like different superstitions and quick stories. Y pues I wish you guys the best week. Si no nos vemos, Halloween is this Friday. So get your spooky ooky on, guys. Alright, con eso los dejo, raza. Los adoro. Bye.